Hi, my name is David Rissalata, and today we're going to be talking about the divorce and the consequences that it has on children. The traditional American family has suffered a great deal in America. Many parents are divorced, many children are growing up in single family households, and that has a lot of consequences as far as emotional issues, educational issues, economic issues, um, children's ability to form meaningful relationships. Um, so we're going to talk about these things today. It's long been believed that the traditional nuclear family has been the best means of raising children. Mother and father both working cooperatively together usually produces the best outcome for the child. Family, in its most common definition, refers to a group living in the same household, cooperatively working together and sharing their resources. In America, the family was typically considered to be the strongest in the 1950s. That is when the traditional nuclear family was the strongest, and the understanding of the union between men and women working for the best interest of the child was at its peak. Um, since that time, there has been a decreased focus on children and marriage itself as an institution. Divorce rates in America are difficult to determine. Many researchers have concluded that since their peak, which was in the 1970s, divorce rates have been going down. Other studies, however, are coming to the conclusion that much of this research is flawed, and divorce rates for those over the age of 35-year-olds are still climbing. The U.S. Census Bureau has a divorce rate for 2018 at 7.7 for every 1,000 people. Their research shows a decline since 2010, when it was roughly 10 out of every 1,000 people. So divorce rates are still pretty high. The family's not the same as it used to be. A lot of children are still growing up in single family households. Divorce can have devastating consequences on children. Children from divorced families are more prone to being abused, they suffer from behavioral and emotional problems, and have higher rates of suicide. They exhibit lower academic performance and are more likely to have to repeat a grade. Children going through a divorce are more likely to live in poverty when the divorce is final. Finally, there is less likelihood that the children of divorced families will have strong religious belief and even pursue marriages of their own. Mothers and fathers, in the traditional sense, are important figures in a child's development for several reasons. First and foremost is the regulation of the child's emotions. Parents' response to children's emotional stress will teach them whether or not it is something that is even worth stressing out about. In other words, when the child approaches the parent with an emotional concern, the way the parent reacts to it is going to teach the child whether it's even an important issue or not, and how to regulate it, how to deal with it. A lack of response, on the other hand, or lack of support from the parents altogether, will lead the child to be unable to deal with the stress at all. The parent's role is crucial in the child being able to develop coping skills and alleviating stress on their own. Positive reactions towards children's emotions tend to develop more emotionally healthy children. Fathers, for example, who show positive emotional expression towards children lead to the children having a better understanding of and more control over their own emotions. The mother's sharing of positive emotions with a child seems to play a huge role in the development of the child's consciousness and empathy towards others. On the other hand, when the parents don't respond to the children's emotional issues, or the parents are always angry at the children, they tend to be less empathetic towards others and tend to be more combative towards their or other people, defiant of authority. It has been the common practice in many divorces to award sole custody of children to the mother. As I was saying, it has been the common practice in many divorces to award sole custody of children to the mother. This has legally left the father out of any decision-making processes. Since it has been discovered that divorce can have such a negative impact on families and children, a number of solutions revolving around meaningful legislation. Many solutions revolving around what is best for the child have been implemented through meaningful legislation. These are mediation, which is parents seeking guidance on how to resolve divorce-related issues. Divorce education programs, which educate the parents on the consequences of divorce and how to meet the needs of the children. Parenting plans, which allow for parents to work out on their own how they will cooperatively work together around the issues of raising their children. And joint custody, which is a legal decision usually made by family court, which dictates how the responsibilities both parents will play in raising the children. Some research has shown that it isn't necessarily the arrangements that are made after a divorce, rather the health of the child-parental relationships and the economic stability in which they're subject to. So in other words, just because the parents are divorced, or maybe they have joint custody, or maybe something has been worked out, doesn't necessarily mean the child's going to be okay. If either parent isn't involved, what's better is when both parents are completely involved in their child's life. So while a married family is the best way to raise children, if the family is divorced because they couldn't work out any of their differences, the child can still grow up emotionally healthy as long as both parents are contributing to the child's growth and development.